Suki now. What's really going on? Hey everybody, I'm Richard Thomas and I'm coming to you live from the Lionheart Institute podcast. This is our Coaching the Champion series and I am so excited that you're a part of it. And the message of this podcast is really simple. It's by applying the success principles that they're going to teach you, these coaches, each week, you're going to be able to achieve higher level performance in your life. All right, everybody. I know you've been waiting to find out who is this week's coach. Well, this week's coach is Bobby Cox, and Bobby Cox is a bad boy. As a matter of fact, he is remembered for his hostility on the baseball field. He was passionate about what he did, and he was so passionate about what he did, he lived it out in his managerial style. He was the head coach of the Braves and the Toronto Blue Jays, and man, was this cat animated. This young man led his team to 2 world championships. He went from worst to first. And I'm telling you, those kind of turnarounds don't come just because of coincidence. They come because you have a passionate leader that gives you principles that you can apply simply and easily into your life to make a huge difference. Bobby Cox was born May 21st, 1941. So he's not a young dude, but he is a passionate dude making a difference in the world that we lived in. He was a baseball player and played other sports up to the point where he blew out his knee or hurt his back. I can't remember what injury finally forced him out, but he went from having high expectations and high dreams of being a high caliber player to realizing that dream doesn't last forever. I had the fortune of being in the NFL, and most people know it as the National Football League, but for us that played, we often refer to it as the not for long league. And Bobby Cox ran into that same situation. Great talent, great ability, but his body gave out before his dreams were fulfilled. But he wasn't ready to give up on those dreams. As a matter of fact, he was ready to multiply those dreams, and that's what great coaches do. Bobby Cox won 14 straight divisional championships while with the Atlanta Braves. Now, a lot of people don't know what that means, but it is the equivalent of winning a lifetime of championships. While he only converted 2 of those into world championships, he was able to win 14 times in a row. That's unheard of. It is mind-boggling that the man was able to make the playoffs that many times, no less win his division. And yet he made that impact by a very simple principle in the ways that he lived his life and he managed his baseball program. See, Bobby Cox did not come from an era where he had great managers ahead of him. As a matter of fact, when he was recruited as a manager, he asked the owner, how am I going to manage? How am I going to lead? Because he never had anyone that really set the precedence for him. But when he accepted the job, the opportunity was given. He said, you know what? I have no book on this. I'm just going to be myself. And man, was Bobby Cox more than enough to help his Atlanta Braves win division championship after division championship and win 2 World Series. Now, he took the worst team in the country in 1995 and turned them into the best team in the world by 1995. That's right. In the same year, he took a squad that was in the last place and took them to first place. It's the only time in world history that I've known that a team has actually done that at that level or at that stage. He took a bunch of nobodies and turned them into somebody by the principles that he lived his life by. So Bobby Cox represents so many different things, but the one thing that stood out into my mind as I studied him is that this: most people never become committed enough to become a champion. I want to say that again. Most people never become committed enough to become a champion. What you have in Bobby Cox is a guy that was all in. My dude, Bobby Cox, was all in. He's a legend because he devoted himself all in to the sport that he loved, all in to managing, all in to his players, and he expected to get the same from them. So if you want to become a champion, if you want this success principle to really dwell in your heart, is that you must become committed, fully committed to become a champion. Three little steps under the principle of becoming fully committed. Number 1 is this: sell out. Bobby Cox is a unique kind of an individual. There's a long-standing tradition that the manager of the baseball team, the head coach, wears a uniform. Now, it's very interesting why they wear a uniform. It veils back to the early days in baseball where the head coach or the manager was more of a team captain than he was really a head coach. And oftentimes this coach, in order to inspire his team or to give them that little extra, would actually be a contributing player on that team. Managers dresses to honor that old school tradition where coaches would actually play. But here's the interesting thing about Bobby Cox. See, Bobby Cox wasn't just committed to the tradition. Bobby Cox was so sold out to the commitment to his team that he actually wore cleats. Now you say that's very unusual, but maybe not that strange. He ran on the field for various reasons. He participated in warm-ups. He was busy on the field coaching. No. Bobby Cox was at the next level kind of committed to his dreams. Bobby Cox not only wore cleats, but it's so said that Bobby Cox actually wore a cup at every practice and every game that he ever participated as a manager. Now, let me tell you something. If you want to consider yourself all in, that's the kind of commitment that we're looking for. What kind of commitment are they looking for at your job? That kind of commitment that will say, I'll stay late and give in a little extra. What kind of commitment are they looking for on your team? That kind of commitment that says, I'll come early and stay late until I perfect my craft. That is what Bobby Cox really represents. He represents an individual that not only followed tradition, not only took a step further, but he was so out of balance to get into balance in his insanity and being fully dressed out that he actually wore a cup every practice and every game. I want to teach you a principle, and it's this. If you want to be a champion, you've got to fully commit. Listen, Bobby Cox fully committed wearing that cup every day, wearing it when it was uncomfortable, wearing it was hot, wearing it knowing that he was only going to do a press conference. By taking that step, what he was saying to himself and to everyone else around him about that principle of success is that he was all in. He was willing to get out of balance to get into balance. There's some areas in your life where maybe you're looking at the principles and the things that you want to achieve, and you're so busy maintaining balance in your life that you haven't gotten out of balance to become extraordinary in any one area. Listen, I don't want you to neglect the areas that are important in your life, your family, your children, your career, your future, your education, but it is important at some places in your life, and only you can determine this, that you get out of balance in that area. Give yourself full and wholeheartedly to that endeavor so that you can become great, so that you can allow that greatness to bring up other areas of your life. Point number 2 that I want you to get out of Bobby Cox style, his principles, his commitment to becoming a champion, of being a champion, is this: support your team at no matter what cost. The unique thing about Bobby Cox is Bobby Cox was so committed to his team, he was kicked out of 161 games as the manager. That means that he gave such a fuss, such a passionate cry, such a support of his players, that the umpire actually kicked him out of 161 games. 3 of them in the World Series. Now you say, now that seems just like a crybaby. No, here's the quote that stood out to me. If I was a player and I was out there struggling and striving and trying to give my all, and I got into a contention with the umpire, and I maybe wasn't even right, I would want a manager who supported me. Well, that was Bobby Cox. Right or wrong, he was in your corner. And if you want to be a champion, you want to develop a champion environment, you want to develop a champion system, you want to live by champion principles, you have to support those that you care about. You have to go all in on them. Now, I'm not telling you to be immoral on their behalf. As a matter of fact, you want to teach them right from wrong. But this individual was so committed that he would raise hell and high water on behalf of his players, and he got kicked out of 161 games. He once was asked by a player that sat next to him, "What do I do now? I got kicked out of the game." He said, "Well, you probably want to grab a couple beers, you probably want to take an ice bath, and you probably want to write a $500 check, because you're going to have to write that and send that in the morning. Or you can just be like me and write a $10,000 check and tell them to tell me when I run out." In other words, tell me when I've given my blood, my sweat, my toil, and my tears. I've given my everything, because when I've done that, I'm ready to give some more in support of those that I love, because I have a champion mindset that says, I'm all. Point number 3 that I want to make about Bobby Cox, in studying his life like so many other great coaches, is that he was there to make a difference, not just a ball player. I want to read you a quote by one of his players. He says, "Cox was the single greatest influence on me as a player, in terms of teaching the game, respecting the game, carrying yourself the right way on and off the field. All that stuff was important. He was very much like a fatherly figure in that regard. But this is the one that stood out to me. A small part of Bobby Cox changes you as a baseball player, Smoltz said. 20 years with the man changes your life. I don't know what kind of leader you're trying to be, but the greatest leaders, the kind of leaders that make the biggest difference in the world that we live in, are the kind of leaders that are more interested in raising up the man, raising up the woman, than he is or she is in raising up the athlete in you, raising up the businesswoman in you, raising up the leader in you. They care more about you than what you can do. But the principle he leaves us with is, if you want to be a champion and you want to have a champion's lifestyle, the principle you have to apply is going all in, baby. The only thing separating you from Bobby Cox, 3 little decisions. Number 1, will you take it from just a tradition level to a full commitment level? Number 2, will you support your team at any cost? And number 3, be all in, not just to the end result, not just to the trophy, not just to the championship plaques, but be all in to raising champions. And that's how you'll become a champion in this world that we live in. All right, that was a quick summary. I want to thank you for being a part of the Coaching the Champion mini-series here. So please do like, comment, and subscribe, and get the word out that there is a dialogue about coaches out there for friends and family that you may know. God bless you, and thank you for being a part of the Lionheart Institute podcast, Coaching the Champion series. Welcome aboard.